Okay, my lovely sixth graders. So I wanted to teach you a little bit about watercolor. So I wanted to draw a picture of a fish, and I found this one on Pinterest. And I'm going to do my best to copy it for you, and you can follow along. And it may not be exactly like this one, but you know my philosophy that all our work should be different. So I'm gonna just go ahead and set this aside and start drawing, and you can follow along with me, okay? Okay, so I have an eraser, I have my pencil, and I have watercolor paper. You're gonna need watercolor paper. This is 140-pound weight watercolor paper, and you can use any kind as long as it's 140-pound weight. Anything less than that will not hold the watercolor, okay? And you can get this at Walmart or just order a pad on Amazon. It's not very expensive, okay? All right, so we're gonna be drawing on this. And I'm gonna start, and you can just follow along with me, okay? Just find the best angle for my fish. Okay, it keeps wanting to turn on me. Okay, I think maybe I'll just go ahead and turn my paper this way, because you'll have to excuse Misty. Nope, I'm gonna go back this way. My iPad keeps turning on me, guys, so apologize for that. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and maybe just kind of turn it this way. So I'm gonna start with my tail, and I'm gonna come on up here, make me curve in, go out a little bit, and I'll do the other side. Come on up, down, in a little bit. It's okay if you make a mistake, because I know I certainly am going to. I'm gonna come up and around and go out a little bit. Come down here, and I'll make the mouth. In, come a little bit, back down like this. And I'll have my tail come in a little bit, and let's see, we will come back up and around up in here. So let's see, and you can always make corrections, because I certainly am going to. This is just a rough sketch, and I'm gonna fix it. Whenever I do a drawing, I always just kind of draw it out first and go back in and fix what I don't like. Maybe I'll have this come out a little bit more here. I think that would be a better idea. And then let's see, I'll have this come. So as you can see, I don't have an exact science to this. I just play with it until it looks like I want it to look. All right, I like that. I'm gonna go back in and just erase my lines that I don't like. So I got rid of that. Yeah, I don't need all these crazy extra lines over here. And which line here do I think I'm gonna keep? The smaller one. And yeah. it's good for you to use a pink eraser or one of these types of erasers rather than the eraser on the back of your pencil, because sometimes these, I found that with the bottom of my pencil, it actually leaves a blue mark on my paper, so I don't really like using that one so much. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and erase this. All right, so now I have like the basic body of my fish. And you can always stop your video and just follow along if you need to. Go back and take your time as much as you need. All right, actually I think I'm gonna I'd like this part to be a little bit taller than the other part there. See the two different, okay. So there's the basic body of my fish right there. All right, so now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna add the details. Okay. All right, so up here in the mouth part, ignore my dogs. Okay, up here, we'll do like the little, I don't know what these are called. Do you guys know what these are called? All right, and then I'm gonna come in, create the mouth, like that. Over here, on this side, going to create like a circle here for the eye, and then another one that comes around it. It comes down right there. And then on this side, I'm just gonna do like a little bump with the other side of the eye without details, okay? And then I'm gonna come over here and create sort of like a fin that comes out like that. And I'll come on the other side and just create like a little illusion of one. Okay. And like I said, just stop the video at any time that you need to. So right over here, I'm going to come on out and draw sort of like a line that comes down, and I'm going to skip on over here and do it again. This line here is going to be a little shorter. Shh, Sophie. My dog hears something outside. Sorry about that. So I have one little fin right there. Maybe I'll make this one a little bit longer here, and then a little bit more rounded right there, and coming up like that. So I'm going to erase right here. Oops. There we go. And I'll erase here. Remember, however your fish looks is fine. It could be skinnier, it could be fatter, doesn't matter. As long as you're learning and having fun. All right, so there's that side. I'm gonna come over here and do the other side. And I'm gonna start at the same, right above here, like as if it were gonna go across, okay? And come to maybe right about here, okay? So how's that? Should we make it a little bigger? Maybe a little bit coming out more. think so. And then like that. Okay. I may even just turn this so I can compare and make this a little whiter. Okay. Let's see. Maybe this a little bit down. All right. It doesn't have to be exact. It can be a little different. All right. So there's the basic body of my fish. And I have a fin over here, right over here. So I'm going to come down and over here, shorter than this side, okay, and connect it. Maybe round it out a little bit like that. So I have my side fin here. That's good. All right, there's my fish. And so now we're gonna go in and add a little bit of details, like maybe the spots that the fish will have. So I'm gonna come over here and going to go out like this and over, down, coming around, and I believe this is a koi fish, and koi fish usually have, some of them are solid colored, some of them have lots of different kinds of spots, so this will be a spot here. And then we'll come over here and maybe just randomly come on up and over like that. Okay, and maybe on the tail right here, we'll do a little spot. Have it come on up, and just little splotchy, you know, things. Little splotches. Just can be like any kind of random thing happening here. Okay, you can make your own. It doesn't matter so much. All right, so there's my fish, and I like it. So now we are going to use watercolor. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you here for a moment, and while you fix your fish up, and I'm going to set up my watercolors and get my jar ready to go, and my colors ready to go, and you just keep drawing. Okay, it's going to be beautiful. Okay, I'll fill my water up. So I have my jar of water here. Okay, and I use a few brushes. Okay, I have a tiny brush here, but you don't have to have all of these. Okay, tiny brush, my medium-sized brush here, and then I'm going to use this larger brush here. Okay, so here's my three brushes. These are basically the same brushes we always use in the classroom, but if you only have one brush, that's fine. And here I have my watercolors, the same ones we use in the classroom. Okay, if you have different watercolors, that's great. You can use those too. I also have some other watercolors here. Okay, a different set. All right. So I'm just going to be using the classroom ones today, just so that you can follow me a little easier. Okay. I will put these a little closer so that you can see. Pull this up a little so you can see a little better what I'm doing. Okay. All right, so we are going to start out, and I'm just gonna start with maybe a little background on my fish, okay? Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I know we do this in the classroom, but I have my rag here. You can use a paper towel, but I'm a little short on those since we're quarantined, and so I just grabbed an old washcloth and to dab my wet brush on. Okay, so I'm going to put my brush in my water. Okay, put my brush in my water, and I'm going to dab it onto my cloth just to get a little extra off, and then I'm just going to wet my paper around my fish. Okay, just around my fish. And doing the outside around the fish first, okay? And I'm only going right here, in between the fin a little bit. And I'm just gonna dip my brush maybe into like this turquoisey green color here. And you don't have to use this green because you don't have the same colors I have, so it's okay. And I'm just randomly dipping, okay? Just creating the illusion of water. If you want to, I know you guys like to splat. You can splat your paper a little bit. Just make sure you're not splatting on parents' furniture. Okay, I'll come add a little bit more water and just kind of add some color, giving the illusion that the fish is sort of in the water. You don't have to do all of this, okay? Just adding a little color to the background. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to go into this sky blue a little bit. And I'm not going to dip my brush in the water. I want this to be a little darker in the bottom. And remember why we do that? For the shading. Okay. Always a little darker on the bottom, right? A little more. Add some pretty color. Okay, now I'm going to dip in the water. Kind of go back up. Blurring a little bit up here. Let it fade out. Now remember, you don't want to put a ton of water on your paper, because if you do that, you will start to make your paper disintegrate. You're going to get little bumps on it, and it's not going to be pretty. I'm going to try to use maybe this darker blue that's up here on the top. This one right here. Come on this side here. It's pretty dark, so I'm gonna rinse my brush off a little. Kind of drag it down. And see, I'm keeping it from going into his fins. I really don't want that into the fins yet. Blur it out. Have it just go around. Don't press hard on your paper. So if you do, you're actually going to be lifting the paper off of the paper, which we don't want to do. Watercolor paper is pressed together with different layers of paper, and if you press on it hard, it will start to come apart. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of between here for a little shading. If you spray, it's okay, just wipe it off. Okay, and you can just let the paint get soaked up by the paper. Okay, and can you see that I'm just fading out the color? It's not, the entire paper does not have to be colored in blue. All right, just fading it out. Okay, maybe I'll get a little fancy and add a little bit of like a bluish purple color, maybe down here by the tail for some contrast. Maybe like we could pretend that there's a shadow over the water. Put a little shading in between the tail here. Let it fade out. That looks pretty. I like that. And you don't have to blend it all in. I'll do some more shadow right here. Use the tip of your brush like a pencil. And just kind of bring it in. Curve it in. And lightly wash it out. Blend it outward. There we go. And under this fin right here, since this is a little corner, it would probably be a little darker, so I'm just going to add a little shadow where that fin might be by the water. Maybe come around a little bit more. I hope you guys can see this because the sun is really coming into my window right now. Okay, I like that. Might actually come back in here a little more. Bring some over here on this side. And don't worry if it, if it goes over your fish a little bit, that's okay. All right. See that I'm starting to get the side like a little bit too wet, so I'm going to kind of leave it alone. And maybe I'll come back in over here with this blue. And I'm going to just fade it out. You just add a little water and push it out. Add more water and push it out. Okay, so I think I like that. I don't really need any more of the water. So I'm gonna rinse my brush now, and I'm gonna start going into my fish. And so I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna start with the shapes. So I think I'm gonna choose like this, it's pretty red over here. So this is the red color I'm using. A little red, and I'm just gonna tap it. Okay, tap it. And rinse my brush and go into my red orange here. Okay, tapping, letting them blend together. Rinse, and into my yellow. Tap. Okay, rinse. I'm going to come into my brown over here, just a little brown here, just to kind of create a little bit more of a golden. Okay, now I'm going to rinse my brush completely. Now, as you can see, I've kind of bled out over here, and that's okay. The good thing about watercolors is you can take your paper towel, tap it down, and for the most part, it should come up. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You have a reflection of the fish in the water. Right. So I'm going to just take this and blend. Oops. Tap. Always keep your paper towel handy so that you can, oh look what I did. It's okay. So that you can lift your color up. No matter what happens, it's still doesn't mean you messed up. There could be a little reflection in the water. You can always blend your mistake. Okay. I never get upset when I do things like that because it's still going to be a nice part of the picture. Okay. So I've blended my little fin here and it's got a blot. Okay. And now I'm going to come up and do this part of the head. So this time I think I'm going to try not to use as much water. That might have been my problem. I'll just do a little here and rinse, wipe my brush off this time and then get some brown. And come on in here with a little bit of brown. So if you guys have metallic paint, that would be really fun too, to do this with like a metallic color. I do, but since I know most of you guys don't, I'm not using that right now. So I'm just reaching in for my yellow. And I'm gonna go ahead and, with my yellow, fill all of this in and touch the other colors. Not rinsing my brush. Letting it all blend. So the key with watercolor is you want to make sure that you're not using too much water or too little water. Here, I think I use too much. This is just enough because it's blending nicely, but it's not rolling out of the shape that I created. Okay, I'm gonna go in here and just add a little bit more color now that it's a little bit drier. Okay, so if you notice, I've used some color families, the red, the orange, and the yellow, and brown is sort of a neutral color, so we can always add that in, okay? And I'm gonna put my brush back in the brown, okay, back in the brown, rinse it off a little bit, tap it, so I just have some watery brown color, and I'm gonna come over here and just kind of add that onto the face. Being really careful not to get too close to the eye and not to have too much water on it. If you get too much water, remember, just drop it off on your paper towel. Just going a little bit, just adding some shadows. I'm not doing the whole thing. And then I'm going to come back in and on the fin, same thing here, okay. I'm going to do a little bit of a darker orange red on the fin here. Okay, and I'll have it come around a little bit and add some yellow and rinse my brush, dry it off, and blend. And I apologize that the light keeps changing. I'm sitting near a window and it's just, the sun is coming in and out. And I want this to be lighter on the edge here. There we go. So we have it light, darker, darkest, just like we did on our pumpkins and our vases. Okay, and then this fin, I'm going to come back in the back of this fin here and make it a little darker, doing the same illusion that we did before. Okay, now I'm just going to start adding some little splotches to the body. Anywhere you want is good. Some red. Come on up here. Maybe I'll just, for a little interest, I just stuck my brush in the magenta just for fun. You're welcome to do that. I'm going to rinse my brush completely and dry it. And then I'm going to take it, put it in my yellow, do the same thing. Splotches. Rinse my brush, dry it, and then blend. Start blending. Just let these colors do what they want. And remember that fish have scales. So when you do this and you just go back and forth, you're kind of creating sort of a little scaly look. Just using the tip of my brush gently, blending. Take your time with this and have fun with it. Discover new ways to create texture or like a cool visual effect. Leave some areas darker than others. You're just touching the colors together, not necessarily blending them all. You see I left a little darker spot here, a little yellow here. So you do want to have some variation in color. And it's okay if you go out of your fish a little bit. Kind of come on over here and I'm gonna rinse my brush and let this blend together. Remember, if your brush is too wet, it's gonna all kind of, you know, drip out like mine did. Sometimes when I first start a watercolor picture, I kind of have to remember the techniques before I kind of get it right. So if you're like that, it's okay. And I know in our room we've done pencil drawings and we've done acrylic, we've done oil pastel, we've done a lot, but we haven't really worked with watercolor very much. So this is why I chose this. Okay, so I really like the way that this is coming out. I think I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my brush off, and I'm gonna work on the eye a little bit because the eye is gonna take a while to dry. So I'm gonna be using black. I'm just dipping my brush. I'm still using my big brush, by the way. Haven't really found it necessary to switch yet. So I'm gonna go into my eye carefully. And I wanna leave a little light catcher on the top. So you wanna leave a little white open space where the light is catching the eye, okay? And I'm just gonna leave that like that. Let it dry. Okay, I'm going to, let's see, I'm just gonna rinse that off. So let's come over here and work on this one here, this fin right here. I'm thinking I like it the way that this is, but maybe I could use a little spot. What do you think? Should we put a little spot there or leave it? Just leave it for now. I'm gonna use my red, a little dark. Go into my orange. Again, creating the rounded edge. Rinsing my brush, drying it off. Don't do that. And going to blend it outward, then down. Dry it off, blending. So we want to get that curved edge that we talked about in the classroom, where it kind of looks like it's lighter here in the center. And then this side of the body here is going to be a little darker because it's on the bottom. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend this using only water, okay? Using only water here. All right, there's the body. I'm just gonna come on over here on the tail, take a little bit of the yellow. Actually, I'm not sure what color that was. Oh, yellow orange right here. And I think I'm just gonna come over to the tail and swipe a little on the tail here. Look how pretty that looks. Just swiping it on the tail a little, like that. And maybe I'll go a little darker on this side. I'm not doing the whole thing, okay? Not doing the whole thing. Rinse my brush. I'm gonna dip it in the black. I'm gonna rinse it and just get like a light gray shadowy color. Actually, I rinsed off too much. That happens, and that's okay. Oh, now I have too much. Okay. All right. So creating a little shadow over here. Maybe when Misty gets a little bit more knowledgeable, I'll even be able to add in a little bit of music while we paint. But right now you just have to listen to my dog. Okay. And that's it. It's pretty simple. It's done. Shh, Sophie. Shh. Shh. I have a little bit of puddling of water going on here. Now I'm going to come back into my eye. Okay, so I have a little bit of black on my brush with water. Okay, so it's going to be like a grayish color, a light grayish color, very light. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of come into the eye here. A little on the back side. Let it blend in, a little on the front side, right there. That's it. That's all you have to do. Come on over here on the other side. Really lightly. Be careful. Okay, just like that. You don't have to do any more. Okay. You can, if you want to, you can kind of come back in here with the same color and sort of maybe create like a little shadow, like under the fin maybe. Under here. So the fun thing with watercolor is that you can just really play with it. Now, if you wanted to get really fun and fancy, which you know I will. I'm gonna go back into my turquoise, okay, and I think I'm just gonna add some color here, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just did that. But I did. You do not have to do this, okay? I'm a little bit more dangerous. And I just wanted a little bit more color, and you're welcome to try it. Will not change your grade. I just want you guys to have fun. I'm just gonna add some little splashes here. See how fun this is? It's just being creative. A little bit here, and maybe some here. So I'm just giving my water some beautiful color. And sit. You can add some over here if you want. Do some. I like this. It's a very pretty color. It goes nicely with the orange. And if you guys have a color wheel, if you don't, you can look it up. You'll see that these two colors complement each other. They're across from the color wheel, across from each other. And let's see. Bring it on the face a little. Blending. Soften these edges up a little just by adding water. A little more water down at the bottom, bringing it together. And you guys, I think we did a great job. I think I'm actually gonna add a little reflection here in the tail. Go a little crazy over here. The fun thing is that once you're done with your picture, you can always go back in, play with it some more. Maybe a little bit. This color down here might look nice. Let's play with it. Where else can I put that? My dog has her toy out. How about over here? What do you think? Let's add a little here and maybe some in here. Maybe even some over here. I think I'm gonna actually put some here. And you guys can get really creative and do what you want to your picture and send it to me because I want to see it. Shh, Sophie. Shh, shh, shh. Shh. Okay. Now when this is dry, you can go back in. You see these little fins? Oops, sorry about that. These little fins right here. You can take your aqua color if you want and go back and make your marks. I'm not going to do that right now because mine's really wet. But yeah, that's it. It's done. Okay. Here's the picture. You guys can see it. And here's the whole thing. Okay. There's your watercolor lesson. And so the first week you guys are going to draw it, and the second week I want to see it painted and finished, okay? All right, talk to you later.